Warning, this podcast contains brutal facts, big questions, and bigger opinions. Side effects may include a bruised ego, a reawakened spine, and involuntary truth-telling. If you're allergic to sarcasm, caffeine, or hard conversations, turn back now. If you're here for the fight, buckle up.
Tonight on Data and Dissonance, we've got fireworks on the set of Fox News, awkward tension between Trump and his supposed allies, and the BRICS alliance making Uncle Sam sweat like it's leg day in July. In segment 1, Jessica Tarloff mouths off, Trump claps back, and Joy Behar says something predictably insane. In segment 2, we zoom out and talk about BRICS, how it's growing, why it's dangerous, and what it says about the state of U.S. diplomacy, even under conservative leadership. Rachel's got the side eye, Brian's got the blowtorch, and Daniel's got a bug-out bag labeled Zelensky's Ghost Fund. Let's get weird. This show is brought to you by the Caleb Rourke Thriller series. If you like patriotism with a side of black ops and conspiracy so rich it should be taxed by the IMF, then meet Caleb. In the Covenant Protocol and the Prophet Directive, Caleb Rourke takes on the deep state, rogue tech, and global betrayal with nothing but grit, principle, and a Glock. Book 3, Black Echo Rising, dropping in December. It's like Jason Bourne met Red Dawn and they had a baby raised by Tucker Carlson. Available now on Amazon. All right, let's talk about the latest round of conservative civil war disguised as cable news commentary. Jessica Tarloff went full spin doctor on Fox News, tossing out cherry-picked gun violence stats that somehow managed to blame every red state law since 1776. Trump, being Trump, nuked her take from orbit and called out Fox for platforming what he called left-wing agitprop in designer heels. Meanwhile, Joy Behar thought she'd throw in her own verbal grenade by claiming Trump and his supporters were too dumb to read stats, which, coming from a woman who thinks the FBI stands for Feminist Book Club International, is rich. We'll start with Rachel. What the hell is going on with these supposedly conservative media outlets?
What's going on is that Fox News has an identity crisis, and nobody's willing to admit it. On one hand, they've built an empire on conservative values, but on the other, they're terrified of losing dinner party invites in Manhattan. Tarlov represents that friction perfectly. She's the network's attempt at balance, but instead of bringing perspective, she ends up parroting whatever narrative she skimmed off Twitter 5 minutes before airtime. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for debate, but when your liberal voice on a conservative channel becomes the loudest one in the room, that's not diversity, that's a bait and switch. And Behar, she's not even in the same league. She's running her mouth from The View like it's an open mic night at the DNC. At this point, I'd rather get my news from a fortune cookie written by Ron Paul.
I mean, Rachel just knocked out more truth in one take than Behar's managed in 15 seasons. It's like watching your conservative cousin try to hang with the mean girls table. Fox wants to be invited to the liberal barbecue, but still sell MAGA merch at the door. Brian, break it down. Trump's going scorched earth again. Is he right?
Absolutely. Trump doesn't just clap back, he carpet bombs. And this one was justified. Tarlov basically used Fox's airtime to run DNC cover fire with a spreadsheet. You want to debate gun policy? Fine. But don't act like Chicago's crime rate is caused by Arkansas. Then there's the fact that Fox let it happen. You know why? Because they think appeasing the left buys them credibility. It doesn't. It just makes them look weak. Trump called it like he saw it. Fox is selling out its base to stay palatable to advertisers who donate to the same PACs that bankroll MSNBC. And Behar, please. That woman thinks she's a political commentator because she's been yelling at studio interns since the Clinton era. The only data she understands is her calorie intake when she skips lunch to rehearse one-liners about how Trump is Hitler. It's pathetic.
Brian, that Behar line might have caused a minor earthquake in Studio B. Daniel, you've got more conspiracy threads than an Alex Jones hoodie. What's the deeper game here?
Oh, it's deeper than you think. This isn't just about ratings. Fox News is trying to reshape the Overton window from the inside out. They bring on voices like Tarlov to slowly shift what conservative means, normalize compromise, water down outrage, make it all look rational and polished and unthreatening. And the real kicker? They're doing it while smiling at you from behind the anchor desk. Behar and her ilk aren't the threat, they're clowns. But Fox, that's infiltration. It's narrative laundering. They want the audience to feel included in a conversation that was never meant to serve them. This isn't balance. It's ideological seduction. And somewhere in Langley, I bet someone's taking notes.
All right then. Next time you see a Fox panel go full squish, just remember, seduction doesn't always come with lipstick. Sometimes it's a stat sheet and a smile. Let's pivot to the global chessboard. While Trump's rebuilding alliances and Rubio's flying more than the Secretary of State mileage cap allows, the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are tightening ranks. They're pushing new trade pacts, expanding digital currencies, and floating plans for a rival to the US dollar. In the Trump admin's second term, we've seen real effort to counter this. But the pressure's on. Rachel, what's this say about the global order, and are we doing enough?
The BRICS rise is a symptom of a deeper global realignment, and it's not all about who's in office. Rubio is doing the right things. He's focused, aggressive, unapologetic. But he's also inherited a diplomatic apparatus that's spent decades compromising away our leverage. The Biden years handed China and Russia a massive soft power boost, and now Rubio has to thread a needle through a haystack of bad deals, international distrust, and bureaucratic landmines. I think he gets it. But diplomacy is like steering an aircraft carrier. It takes time. And BRICS isn't waiting. They're moving fast, using chaos as opportunity. If we're not careful, we'll wake up one day and realize our financial influence is an antique.
That's the scariest antique since Brian found a Hunter Biden laptop in a pawn shop. Brian, should we be panicking?
We should at least be sweating. BRICS isn't just a trade club anymore. It's an economic insurgency, and they're using tools we created: shadow banking, crypto scaling, resource-backed trade. China alone has more economic blackmail leverage than the entire UN at this point. And here's the thing, Rubio's doing solid work, but he's still dealing with deep state leftovers that wouldn't recognize a global threat if it walked into Foggy Bottom with a flamethrower. We need a total State Department detox. Fire the appeasers, promote the realists, and for God's sake, start treating BRICS like what it is, a hostile alliance, not a chess club.
Daniel, when the world gets quiet, you get suspicious. What's the long game here?
Always. BRICS is building the infrastructure for a parallel global system. Think of it as a firewall, one where the West's influence doesn't reach. And they're not doing it just to annoy us. They're preparing for a world where America's cultural and financial dominance is optional. The scariest part? They might pull it off. I think Rubio sees it. I think Trump sees it. But I also think the American public doesn't. And while we're arguing about pronouns and pride flags on Navy ships, the rest of the world is quietly building a post-American reality. That should keep us up at night.
If BRICS keeps rising and we keep napping, we'll end up asking China for permission to launch the next Marvel movie. And nobody wants that. All right, time for your Patriot Minute. And tonight, we're spotlighting the incredible work of the Independence Fund, a nonprofit that's not just talking about veteran support, they're rolling up sleeves and getting it done. Founded in 2007, the Independence Fund has one goal: to restore the independence of catastrophically wounded veterans. Through mobility programs, caregiver resources, adaptive sports, and suicide prevention efforts, they're putting action where the slogans used to be. You know those all-terrain track chairs you've seen on TV? That's them. They've given over 2,800 of those chairs to wounded warriors so they can fish again, hunt again, hike again, live again. They don't take government funding and they don't waste time. They fight bureaucracy with grit and love every vet like family. And in a time where veteran suicides are still far too high, the Independence Fund is on the front lines reminding us that supporting our troops doesn't end with a bumper sticker. So tonight, we raise our mugs, our merch, and our voices for the patriots over at the Independence Fund. You are why we do this. Let's bring it home with final thoughts. And if you've stuck around this long, congrats. You survived 2 global power shifts and 1 Joy Behar meltdown. Rachel, take the mic before Brian interrupts.
You know, people always say the world's on fire, but I think we've just stopped noticing the smoke. What happened on Fox News this week is a symptom of something deeper. We're losing our spine, even in the spaces we built for truth-telling. And while we're distracted by the circus, BRICS is building a whole new tent in another part of town. We've got a lot to fix. Media trust, global footing, national backbone. But it starts by refusing to clap for the clowns. Demand more. Expect better. And for the love of all that's caffeinated, stop taking Joy Behar seriously.
Brian, how are we ending this without triggering a diplomatic incident?
Too late. I already texted Rubio mid-segment. But seriously, what we saw this week is what happens when you let weak minds drive strong platforms. Fox lost its grip, BRICS found its rhythm, and America's somewhere in the middle trying to remember what real strength looks like. Spoiler, it ain't a Tarlov think piece or a Behar rant. It's accountability, clarity, and yes, sometimes a middle finger with a flag behind it. The left wants us ashamed. The world wants us irrelevant. But if we fight smart, we won't just survive, we'll lead again.
Daniel, give us the final warning before we all get fact-checked by Snopes and shadow banned by Google.
Oh, it's coming. But look, this week, we saw Fox trying to be liked instead of being honest. We saw BRICS act while the US State Department hesitated. That tells you everything. We've got the resources, we've got the talent, we've got the ideas. What we're missing is the will. If we don't stop playing defense and start asserting who we are, culturally, economically, morally, we'll lose the game before we even admit it started. And no amount of fact-checking will save us once the scoreboard's turned off.
We said it at the top, and we'll hammer it here at the end. This isn't just politics. It's culture. It's sovereignty. It's your future. When Fox News shrinks from truth, when BRICS grows unchecked, and when talking heads like Behar think they can laugh us into silence, you know what time it is. This fight is generational. It's ideological. It's spiritual. But it's not over. Not even close. Because we're still here. You're still here. And every time you speak out, show up, or pour that gen roast into your mug, you're reminding the world that we're not done. Remember to stand tall, speak truth, stir thought. And we'll see you back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. sharp for another ride through the madness